So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes, their challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this afternoon, I'm delighted to have with us Alice Wilson, who's CEO at Uncommon. So, Alice, firstly, thank you for spending a bit of time with us. And if you'd like to introduce yourself, Uncommon, what you do, how you help people, that would be wonderful.
Sure, I'd love to. Thank you for inviting me to be here, Chris. I've been looking
Welcome.
forward to it all month. So, yes, I'm Alice Wilson. I am the CEO of Uncommon. Uncommon is a specialist research and communications studio specifically for financial services clients. Our bread and butter clients are financial services organizations who deal specifically with alternative assets. So it's an extremely niche, highly focused area of expertise, but therein lies our value and therein lies a lot of our success, I would say, because the way that we communicate what we do and who we do it for is extremely well defined. It's a tiny area of all financial services, but because of that, the people who are looking for what we do are really, really looking for what we do.
Brilliant.
The problem that I describe that we solve is that inside financial services organizations, for example, MasterCard, who's been a client of ours, LiquidX in the US, lots of huge multi-billion dollar organizations come to us because within their teams, they have product and service specialists, engineers,
Yeah.
programmers, financial services investment experts who are extremely knowledgeable in their niche area
Yes.
of expertise.
Yes.
But those people are not writers, they're not trained communicators, they're not public speakers, they're not animators, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And what our clients find painfully often is that the marketing, communications, research agencies that they engage to try and help them, with the best will in the world, are specialists at marketing, are specialists at writing, are specialists at animation, but are not specialists in alternative assets, in financial services, in leveraged buyouts, in what it means to have an excellent UI on a FinServ app platform.
Yeah.
So there is a real gap in between what these two experts can do, and it causes a lot of agony and
Yes.
anguish.
Yes.
So, marketing agencies who, like I said, with all the best intentions, don't have the level of expertise necessary
Yeah.
to be able to educate and communicate about the very niche types of products and services that we can communicate about. So that's the tiny, but very needed and very profitable area that we
Lovely.
occupy.
Wonderful. So what would you say makes a great client for you? Who do you serve best, would you say?
I would say this splits for me personally into two main buckets of client. On the one hand, it's very well established, large clients who know exactly what they want. And so they can quickly identify that we are going to be able to provide it for them
Yeah.
above and beyond any other potential service provider. So
Yes.
MasterCard is a great example of this. Docker, the multi-billion dollar tech giant,
Yeah.
also a client of ours. LiquidX, as I've mentioned before, fantastic people with a well-defined product. They know their audience intimately. Working with them is very easy because they know what they want.
Yep.
However, another part of the very valuable part of the service that we provide is helping the other bucket of clients who know that they need something and they
Yes.
kind of sort of know what it is, but they're looking for guidance and
Yep.
support and parameters and guardrails to be put around defining the problem that they're trying to
Yep.
solve first and then operationalizing that solution, then actually delivering the solution for them. So in this bucket of clients, I would put a lot of our clients who are working in the financial health and well-being
Yep.
areas, grant-making foundations, asset managers who are dealing with ESG funds and
Yep.
impact funds, climate and green tech. These companies are often smaller. I mean, every company is smaller than MasterCard and Docker, you
Yes.
know what I mean? But
Yes.
they tend to be smaller, um, maybe a shorter runway of practice, of established history of business operating. So I love those clients too because it feels like a slightly more personal and
Yeah.
involved process because we're helping higher up the chain at a more strategic level.
That makes perfect sense. But yeah, yeah, absolutely fascinating. And I love finding businesses that have a really clearly defined niche and know, you know what you do, you know the value you offer, and you know the clients you have. It's a great learning, I think, for lots of businesses to really get more. I think the fear most people have is the more niche I am, the less of a market I have to address, which is true. But if I'm clear on that market, the value, as you said, the profitability, and even the conversion rate, because I've got exactly what you need, is so much easier. So, so Alice, if we take a start with taking a bit of a look back, if you tell us a little bit more about your background, how you got into business, and why this particular one for you, that would be great.
Sure, I'd love to. Okay, so in the marrow of my bones and in the essence of my spirit, I am a writer. It's an integral part of my identity. It's a part of my daily life. I write to find out what I think. I don't know what I think first and then write it down. It's
Right.
a core strategy of engaging with life and everything it has to offer. So it's deeply a part of me and all the things that I do. I say that to highlight that it was kind of inevitable that whatever I went on to do professionally would be in some way intertwined with the skill and the practice of writing. I've been
Yes.
doing it for 30 years now. My professional background is in academics. I completed my PhD at the University of York and
Yeah.
have been on several international funded research programs. Specifically, my discipline is sociology, which I love because it's an extremely welcoming and broad church. You can get away with all sorts under the umbrella of sociology. If people are getting up to it, you can describe it as sociology and do research about it. But my particular interest was in economics at
Yeah.
the household level, gendered outcomes of economics for women in different living situations. So I was developing not only skills in writing and publishing in international peer-reviewed journals, delivering TEDx talks, being interviewed on the news about the housing work I was doing. But I was also developing a very niche and specific set of skills in economics, behavioral economics, how people are making decisions about money, investing, and spending. So
Yeah.
these two skill sets together overlapped into an offer that I could make as a freelancing writer alongside completing my PhD.
Yeah.
So that's one of the major steps that took me towards eventually becoming the CEO of Uncommon. I was freelancing for several years for financial services clients alongside completing my PhD. Eventually, that portfolio of satisfied and recurring clients grew and grew to such an extent that it started to make sense for me to consider transitioning away from freelancing and building this out into a business. I
Yeah.
hired my head of client services, fantastic technical writer, Dom, to start sharing the burden of this workload with. And then doing that enabled us to bring on more clients. I had a business mentor who I'm sure we'll talk about in the course of this conversation.
Brilliant.
Fantastic, wise, generous, helpful man called George Iwanu, who eventually offered to invest in the business and became my business partner. We
Brilliant.
hired a head of operations, Jen, and a satellite of other expert contractors around us, animators, videographers, graphic designers, so that my role naturally developed away from being a freelancing writer into being the CEO of the good ship Uncommon.
Brilliant. Wonderful. So when you, I mean, what an interesting career, and an interesting move into business. But when you were growing up, is this what you foresaw for yourself, or did you have other plans as a child?
Growing up, did I envisage myself as a writer? Yes, categorically, absolutely.
Wonderful.
Did I envisage myself as the CEO of a specialist research and communications studio serving financial services clients? No, I did not. Unsurprisingly, at age 10, the notion of financial services was absent from my consciousness. But no, I did not imagine myself in this kind of role, but I knew that it would be writing, and I suspected that it would be heavily reliant on relationship building too.
Yeah.
I'm a people person. I love reaching out and making friends. And that is an enormous amount of what successful business activity is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Relationships are key in all aspects of successful business, without a doubt. And so as you've grown Uncommon, what are some of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome?
Yeah, that's a great question. What came up for me the most strongly when I was reflecting on this question in advance of our conversation was really about my, as a working class person with no models around me of entrepreneurship. Certainly, there are self-employed people in my near family, but business owners and running businesses and being in a corporate space and charging premium prices for high value professional services. I had no idea about any of that
Yes.
stuff. Being a woman in that space isn't extremely common. And for anyone who's listening and can't see, I'm quite visibly a queer person. I have a 75% shaved head. The hair that I do have is blue and green. I have tattooed hands. This is not the model of the CEO of a professional services business that I was exposed to as a young person. And I
Yes.
doubt that it's really still part of the common narrative of modeling which type of people can do this sort of thing.
Yes.
So the biggest challenges that I encountered really was sort of not having a clue what I was allowed to try and do and not being able to point to someone in my immediate vicinity and say, oh, I can do it just like they did.
Yes.
All that that's meant really is that I have had to seek out and ask for and benefit enormously from a lot of help from a lot of people.
Brilliant.
And that is a message that feels very important to me to reinforce is that our overculture in the global north takes as its central point of consideration, as its central unit of understanding, the individual.
Yeah.
And we have an overemphasized focus on the grit of the individual, the determination of the individual, the skill of the individual, the triumph of the individual, and on and on and on. Empirically, according to the evidence that you can see all around you by paying even the smallest amount of attention to your life, this is so far removed from how anything is actually achieved. It's comical to suggest that one person on their own can really achieve anything. I can't do anything by myself. I can't eat breakfast on my own. There's been a supply chain of people who I will never get to know and thank who have
Yes.
made that experience possible for me. So everything that I have achieved and every success of our business has been a little bit to do with me and a lot to do with many other factors.
Brilliant. Brilliant. What a wonderful way of looking at things, and very true. Teams, um, bringing to even within an organization, bringing the right people together is so key. And I think the match of values is so key in that team. I always say good relationships come with a match of goals. We want to achieve the same thing, but great relationships come with a match of values. We both believe the same things are important, and I think that's so key. So fascinating, yeah. Lots of things that you've had to overcome, for whether it's from the challenges or other areas. What are the biggest learnings you've had about growing a business?
It's amazing what you can get away with. You can just try stuff and see if it works. No one can stop you from doing that. You can just have a go and see if it works. And I recommend it highly of just seeing what happens. I think as entrepreneurs, we kind of can't help building. I wonder if you agree with
Yes,
this, but
couldn't agree
you
more.
kind of can't help seeing opportunities and wondering what would happen if I XYZ? What would people do if I offered this as a service? What kind of feedback would I get if I reached out to someone and said, like, hey, I read this article that you wrote in the so and so magazine and I had these thoughts about it. Do you want to meet up on Zoom for 15 minutes and talk about it? All of this kind of orientation of what would happen if leads 95% of the time to something good.
Yep,
And that has been a major learning throughout this process.
brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, it's yeah. I completely agree. I think entrepreneur people have to grow stuff. I think
We can't stop.
we can't stop. We're not always great at running things. That's the thing to remember. Is there's it's the initiation and the starting of
Yes,
something.
I really agree with that. I love the beginnings of things. I'm so good at inciting people to like
Yep.
come and join this party I'm starting over here. And then once the party starts going, I'm like, great. I've actually had a thought about a party I could go and start over there. So I'll come back in 20 minutes.
Brilliant. Absolutely, yeah, 100%. And I think a lot of people get stuck in the feeling they have to run it as well as grow it. Start it. They have to run it as well. And the most I think the most successful entrepreneurial people I meet are the ones that really get and have that comfort of actually, yeah, I'm going to start the party, but then I'll probably exit stage left and start another one somewhere else.
That's right. Within 12 months of starting the business, I already had a team in place that was running most of the day-to-day
Right.
operations. And at present, my role is almost purely strategic, and I have a fantastic team in place who are running almost everything. And
Brilliant.
that's what liberates my energy, my internal and external resources
Yep.
to go and try other things and create other opportunities.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And now you mentioned having a great mentor earlier, and I'm keen to know who the best coaches you've worked with, whether that's business, sport, or life in general. Who has had the biggest impact on you?
So I have to again give a shout out to George Ioannou, my business partner and who was initially a business mentor. George has been an absolute rock to me throughout this entire process because it can be really not only practically and operationally challenging to run a business, especially when you've never done it before,
Yes.
but it can also be emotionally and spiritually battering. You know what I mean? It can be
Yeah.
really tough as a human experience.
Yes.
And George has just provided and provided and provided for me. He's given me practical advice. He's introduced me to people. He's reassured me. He's being an emotional comfort blanket. He's given me permission to take time off. Not that I need it, but he's modeled lots of excellent behaviors for me, as well as
Brilliant.
providing material advice from his many years of experience as a CEO of huge other different agencies and his own portfolio of investment businesses. The I would not be and Uncommon would not be enjoying the successes that it is now without George.
Wow, what a testament to what you've done. That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you for that. I think it's so key to have some people around us that can support us in whatever type, wherever they come from, or it's so difficult, as you highlighted earlier, to do it by ourselves. And so help, asking for help, so key. And whether it's from George or other sources, do you have any favorite quotes or sayings that you catch yourself using a lot about business or success in general?
The one that comes to mind immediately is the one words to the effect of if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, which really just returns me to my central sort of
Yes.
political orientation of collectivism as
Yeah.
being the default and the best strategy for life.
Yeah.
And that's as true in business as it is in family and anywhere else, I think.
Love it. Couldn't agree more. I think team, as I say, as you highlighted when you talked about breakfast, it's like even if I'm eating my breakfast on my own, a lot of people have come together to create that breakfast for me ahead of that time. So yeah, great point. And educational point of view, do you have any favorite books or podcasts on business or success that you can recommend?
Ooh. This is a little off-piste, but it is my sincere response.
Yep.
The single book that has had the most powerful impact on all of the things I have done and achieved is The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Have you heard of
Right.
this book?
No. No.
Okay.
Please
The Artist's
tell me.
Way is
Yep.
a 12-week workbook,
Yep.
which is really it's for creatives of any stripe. And
Yep.
in my opinion, that is every human being on the planet.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Okay.
the skill of being an entrepreneur is highly creative.
Yep.
The skill of solving business problems, the skill of solving problems is highly creative. It's not the case that creativity is only in capital A art with some kind of painting hanging in an exclusive
Great point.
gallery somewhere.
Yep.
Creativity is how we engage with the people in our lives and behave in our relationships. That takes creativity. I see it everywhere personally as a
Yes.
web that you can't help but be attached
Yeah.
to and woven into. So this 12-week workbook has a selection of exercises that you go through each week to uncover rediscover, give permission to your creative self to try and do stuff, actually, I think is what it is, which calls back to my previous point about all of the things I've managed to do has been largely a result of giving myself permission to just try stuff and see what
Yeah,
happens. And this book
fascinating.
has been a pillar, a cornerstone foundation in teaching me how to do that and that it's safe and okay to do that.
Fascinating. And just give us the title again. That's
Yes. It's called The Artist's Way and it's written by Julia Cameron.
The Artist's Way. Brilliant. I'll remember that. I will look that up.
It's
Um,
the single book I have gifted more than any other. Lots
right.
of people have been sent a copy of this, and lots of people I've met through business too, who
Yes.
some of them I've gone on to do work with and some of them I haven't. But in the interest of trying to have a sincere human experience with the
Yeah.
people I'm connecting with in a business context,
Yes.
I love sending gifts. I really enjoy it. It makes me
Yeah.
feel
Me
great.
too.
It's a fun thing to do. And because this book has been the cornerstone of so much of my own joy and exploration and
Yeah.
success, I'm really keen, evangelical perhaps even, to try and send it off into the world to keep doing its good magic.
No, it's fascinating. I'll get a copy of that because, but I just and I suspect, as you said, the fact perhaps one of the reasons I haven't is because it doesn't have a title that has a direct relationship with business. But I completely agree. Creativity is in all sorts of all parts of life, including entrepreneur and especially entrepreneurship. But we're all special. We've all got our special talents, and I certainly believe the closer we get to harnessing our talents, the happier we will be, and probably the more successful we'll be. However you define
This
success.
reminds me of another great quote that I just encountered for the first
Brilliant.
time 2 days ago, which I think encapsulates what I hear you describing now, Chris. And it's by Neil deGrasse Tyson, famous scientist, space guy, who said something like, when I'm conducting science and I discover something, if I hadn't have discovered it, at some point in the future, somebody else would have discovered exactly the same thing as me. But
Yeah.
when I create art, I create something that nobody in the history of
Yep.
mankind and nobody in the future could ever have created. And by virtue of having your own subjective experience, you have access to a world of completely original, unheard of, impossible for anyone else to create well of possibility inside you, right?
Yes.
And sometimes I think it can be easy to gloss over or to consider it trite to say that we're all special, we all have a unique perspective, but it's one of the truest and most real things that we can actually
Yeah.
take into consideration. And I find it bolstering.
I couldn't agree more. That in fact, there's a quote that sits alongside that. It's not directly related to that, but I remember a lady saying a little while ago we were talking about, and she said, "Be yourself because everyone else is taken."
It's taken, yeah.
I love that one because it's just like, yeah, bang on, and therefore we're all different, we're all special, we all have our own, yeah, points of difference. Wonderful. And speaking of learning, then, what have you learned about yourself throughout your journey so far, Alice?
What have I learned about myself? I've learned that I need to take a lot of naps and that this is a legitimate way to be a
Yes,
CEO, that it's not only the case that the only option for CEO-dom is hustle, hustle, grind,
yeah,
grind. I want that report on my desk by morning. There's also ways of doing business that are more accommodating of the human body and appetites, and that it can be a gentle and fun
yes.
experience as well as being a grueling and challenging one.
I think it's back. Yeah, yeah, makes a lot of sense to me too. And I think one thing that I've learned is to be conscious of my mind and body in various things. Sometimes the right thing to do is just to do nothing. You rightly say it's like it isn't just about constantly going at 200 mile an hour. Sometimes the rest, the stop, the nap, the walk, the
Yeah.
even sitting in front of the TV watching rubbish,
Yep.
sometimes is the right thing to do, and that's fine.
Yeah,
Uh,
I agree.
Bang on. Now, in Actually Coach My Organisation, we have a phrase that we believe a true business is a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without its owner. And I'll put can work without its owner because it's not that you can't. Um, how do you feel about that as an owner yourself?
That sounds right to me. That's what I've been trying to create, and that's almost the stage that we're at now.
Brilliant.
I think, yeah, it has to have all of those components, doesn't it?
I think so. I think the biggest challenge most people have is they work without the owner, because going back to that point of, we've created it, it's our thing. But the quicker we can start to let go and hand over to the people, the more successful it probably will be. But also, hopefully, the more happier we'll be because we can move on to the next thing. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. How does that look for you in your own business?
It's really good question. Actually, I've spent lots of time helping people achieve that as primarily a job myself. So at the moment, I don't have a true business in that manner. I have the plans, and I'm implementing plans at the moment to make that happen. Um, but I say, but that's undermining it. I love what I do, so I don't think I'll ever stop coaching people. But the number of people and the frequency and the location I coach them from
Mm.
will change over time. I have goals about living in different places of the world at different
Oh,
times. Um,
very good.
but the beauty of technology, as we said before we started, and the fact that we're talking on Zoom, which obviously was accelerated by COVID and lockdown, means that I can work with people wherever may be. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's a really good point, and I do believe personally that I need as a business coach, with that definition, I do need to be congruent over time to create that business that can work without me too.
yeah. But there's no rush, is there? Because you get to define the pace
Yes.
of your development. You get to define the subtleties of what success feels like independently to you. And if you derive a lot of meaning from how you work with people, then I feel like meaning should have a place in the definition of business as much as profit, ideally. For
I
me,
agree.
it has to be personally.
No, I agree too.
Fine if it doesn't work that way for everybody else. But one of the things I have learned, to return to one of your previous questions, is that it's not sufficient for me to be technically excellent at something. I also have to derive meaning from it.
Yeah,
It's not enough for me to be excellent at executing on a task if that task doesn't sort of reaffirm my feeling of my own
yeah,
humanity. Do you know what I mean?
I really do. Absolutely. I think it's not that difficult to make money. It's not the most difficult thing in the world, but making money from things that you have having a purpose that you believe is also doing good things,
Yeah,
it,
yeah, that's it.
it becomes much more congruent and much more long term, because there's only and I think that's the difference between doing. I meet too many people that run businesses that they don't enjoy, are in jobs they don't enjoy, and there is a question of what does success really look like. And I
Yeah,
think it's got to be purpose and fulfillment alongside financial and time. I think really key.
yeah.
Um, so Alice, what does the future look like for you guys, and what do you think are some of the challenges you might face, if any?
Yes. What the future looks like for Uncommon is that at the moment it's being guided in the very capable hands of my team, and we're continuing to grow. At the moment, we're on the cusp of making a big investment in our website because we're much bigger than we appear to be
Yes.
per the website,
Right.
and often
Okay.
it's the other way around, I think,
Yes.
people for wise strategic reasons make the shop front look much bigger than the actual back rooms
Yep.
inside the building.
Yep.
Due to a suite of reasons, we've had pretty astronomical success with huge clients and great work happening. And because we've been so focused on that, the website looks like we looked like 2 years ago. Do you know what I mean? So
Yep.
we need to catch that up, because I think it helps prospective new clients who don't know us yet to feel properly taken care of.
Yes.
It's like dressing properly for a conversation with somebody, you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
helps people to feel that you understand the importance of attention to detail, and you know how to play by the rules of the game and all of these things.
Yeah.
So that's what's coming up in Uncommon's future.
Brilliant.
And because I am very privileged to have a sensationally skilled team taking care of the day-to-day operations, I am now starting to build the another party, basically. The part of my life which is more closely related to writing.
Yep.
So whilst I've been running this company, I have also been teaching creative writing day. I love teaching creative writing. I love working with students one-on-one. This is something that is highly values aligned for me, that I
Yep.
absolutely believe in the value of and the goodness of. So, whilst we're working on building up Uncommon, I am also working on building up my creative writing offerings. I've created my first course, which I will be launching at the
Oh,
start of September. I've been published probably between 20 and 30 times, flash fiction, short stories, won some awards, published plenty of pieces of journalism. It's a sort of wheel that never stops turning in my life, as I think I've
yes.
emphasized
Yeah, yeah.
adequately now. But that's a gift that I would like to share and connect with people over in a more regular way, I suppose. I'd like to build it into becoming a more and more a piece of my life. So
Yes.
that's what's coming up for me personally towards the end
Wonderful.
of this year.
Wonderful, but good luck with that. I'm sure that you'll smash that out of the park as well. So
Thank
that
you.
sounds incredible. And I'm keen to know what you'd say to anyone that was thinking of going into business right now. What would be your advice?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the first thing I would say is good luck, and I would really mean it. And the second thing I would say is, how can I help you? Is there anyone I can introduce you to? Is there any conversation you'd like to have with me? And the third and final thing I would say is do whatever you can to anchor your sense of identity and meaning in somewhere that is outside of your business, as well as somewhere that is inside of your business. It lowers the stakes of the difficult thing that you're about to try and do. If your business fails somehow, if it doesn't turn out the way you thought, if you can't get it off the ground, there's a reason that like 50% of businesses that open close within 2 years is hard.
Mm.
And if that happens, it doesn't reflect necessarily
Yeah,
poorly on you. It doesn't mean that you are a failure. It doesn't mean that you can't do anything, that you can't try again.
yeah,
And I know for myself that having strong anchors in my feeling of my own identity to places that have got nothing to do with my business nourishes and fortifies me to be able to cope with all of the risks that I do take inside the business.
brilliant. Love that. I think you're the first person. I think I've interviewed over 400 people now at least, and you're the first person that said I would say, firstly, good luck. Secondly, how can I help? I think that's lovely, and you're absolutely right. I think many people, including myself, have misjuggled up their own identity with the identity of their business, and as you say, that challenges in business doesn't mean challenges in life. So I think that's really key. In fact, I spend a lot of time talking about business being a game. It's just a game. We're just going to play it, and and if this game don't work out, we'll start again and we'll do another game. And
Yes.
it's not easy when you're right in the middle of some challenging times, but it's a very, very sound philosophy to maintain your peace of mind, I think. So
Yeah, it is. And to try and bring where possible some levity, some sense of lightheartedness t- into what you're doing, which sometimes is impossible because this game that we're playing, and you're right that it is a game, but we can describe everything that we're doing as a game. The game
yes,
is kind of made up, but the outcomes are very real. If we lose at this game, maybe we can't pay our mortgage, or you know what I mean? There's lots of real stakes involved in the
yes,
game. And I completely agree that it is very sound advice to try and bring, yeah, some lightness of spirit to it and to not identify with it too strongly.
yeah,
It's a very difficult thing to do, isn't it? You know better than most people to take it seriously and to take it lightly in the best balances.
in
At,
both
yeah,
in both ways, 100%. It's we do need to do both, um, and it's getting the right timing for each, I think. Uh,
that's it.
Fascinating. Yeah, really fascinating. And if you started your business again, is there anything significant you think you do differently, Alice?
Well, I was really reflecting on this before we had this conversation, and I don't want to cop out of any of these questions. I'm really doing
No,
my best to answer
okay,
as truthfully as I possibly can. And I don't know if I would change anything. There haven't been any big mistakes, luckily, touch wood, yet. And all of the little mistakes and little terrors and little small dark nights of the soul have been absolutely crucial in helping me to expand my sense of self and what is possible for me and what the world contains. So, from this vantage point now, where everything's going well and I feel secure, no problem. It was all
brilliant,
fine. In the moments
absolutely,
themselves, extremely overwhelming and
yeah,
terrible sometimes. The highs are very high, the lows are very low. But
yeah,
overall, I can say with my hand on my heart, I wouldn't change anything about what I've done.
brilliant. Yeah, and I think the other thing about that, and I'm very similar. I think if we like where we are as a result of all the decisions we made and actions taken. If we'd have changed any one of those, we might not be here right now. So and I think that's why it's just whether or not there's significant changes,
Yeah,
and again, just the learnings that we might have had. But no, I completely agree with you. It's like we the challenges are learning opportunities without a shadow of a doubt. Um, and final question: what's the best advice you could give an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do that, Alice?
18-year-old me. Well, I would encourage her to keep writing,
Yes,
and I would tell her that her intuition that this is a life-makingly important practice is correct, and to pursue and trust that feeling. But luckily, I think 18-year-old me had already received that advice through the ether somehow.
brilliant,
Maybe as a backwards echo through time as a result of our conversation here today.
brilliant,
Because she did keep writing, and that allowed me to live this life.
wonderful.
I'm grateful to her. Thanks, little Alice.
Lovely. What a great way of looking at things. I love when you said at the start that you think through writing. That's really interesting. It's not. I don't. But I
Mm.
think and then I write. But you write and you think. It's what a great way of actually helping yourself to be creative. Alice, has been absolutely fascinating talking to you. It really, really has, and very
Thank you.
uplifting. And I really appreciate your time today. And for anyone that would like to get in touch with you or Uncommon, what would be the best way of doing that?
I would recommend reaching out to me through LinkedIn. You can
Yeah.
find me Dr. Alice Elizabeth Wilson. I use my full name on there. And I'll be very pleased to speak with anyone either on a personal level about business or from a client perspective. But you can also find the our company Uncommon on LinkedIn. You can go to our website weareuncommon.global with the appendices note that this will very shortly be getting a full facelift and overhaul.
Of course, yes, absolutely. Well, look, it'd be great to swing by another 6, 12 months and just see things that are developing, especially with the creative writing, tutoring and things. But for now, thank you so much for your time.
It's been lovely to speak to you, Chris. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you.